this creep, and they're just going to keep pushing Econ as much as they can. And then as soon as the Protoss player pushes out, as it looks like Knutzi is going to be taking this tower and trying to deny scouting to MorroW. Does not have up an observer at this point, so trying to take down those creep tumors as they are spawning. You can cancel those creep tumors, so MorroW might have done that for one or two, but it looks like see some blood on the field there, and at least one of those creep tumors did go down. So more and more roaches coming out for MorroW. Knutzi responding with these immortals, does not have any upgrades for any of his units right now. These roaches about to get their +2 attack along with tunneling claws, and finally we see the observer come out for Knutzi. So he's going to be able to clean up this creep like a garbage man, taking out the garbage here, or maybe mopping a floor for this creep in the middle of Lost Temple. It's a sacred place. You can't be spreading creep everywhere. And getting up a third base in the northern 12 o'clock position, and again using this Phoenix to try to gauge the number of roaches which Mouse MorroW has. And if we look, both players sort of even in the army count right now, about 2,800 each. Though we see another round of units coming from Knutzi. He does have that pylon down, so going to be able to warp in on the low ground. Now seeing a hallucinated Colossus and a Phoenix as well. So if the roaches move in to try to focus down this Colossus, it could give the Immortals a lot of time to get very good damage on the roaches. Could see some good force field here. Yes, we do. And burrow from the roaches, but the observer going to allow them to be picked off by Knutzi. Checking out the APM, both players both hovering around 150 at this point. And now MorroW needs to get out of there. He does not know about the observer on the field, but he should know shortly. And if he was smart and noticed and was paying attention there, he should notice the Colossus is actually a hallucination. Now we see a number of Hydralisks coming in as well, getting a decent surround with these roaches, but now pulling back, wasting a lot of shields from these sentries. If we check out the energy, the sentry is very low on energy, so blowing his entire load of energy that was Knutzi there, and now going to have to retreat, does not have any force fields. We see MorroW creating a number of Hydralisks now, also getting up a Spire, perhaps in response to seeing that Colossus, though it was a hallucinated Colossus. So instead, we do see Knutzi going for kind of the opposite tech path with those Templar Archives, also going to be very good against these Hydralisks, not so much against the Roaches, as the Roaches are a little hardier than their Hydra friends there, with 145 life compared to the 80 life. So the Templar Storms are going to do very good damage against the Hydralisks. And if any corruptors are made by MorroW, it's just going to be lost army and lost minerals and resources at this point, because there are no Colossi coming out for Knutzi. We do see armor upgrades finally coming out for the Zerg player. Looks like a split force of roaches trying to take down the added gateways here for Knutzi. Also coming in the back door, and it looks like these roaches may be lost, but they're going to get valuable scouting information. MorroW did not get a bead on what was in his opponent's base, so you're going to try to come in here and split the army of the Protoss player. Knutzi not doing a very good job of splitting his units, as just splitting them late here, and these roaches going to do a lot of damage as we follow in the main. The roaches just going to get all the tech information, and in the natural, looks like they were able to either force that Nexus to cancel, or in fact take it down. Now moving up into the 12 o'clock position are those roaches being chased down by the army of MorroW, or of Knutzi, and Knutzi's actually lost the roaches in the main. He does not have an observer down here. These roaches popping up going to do economic damage to these probes. If we check the mineral count, or the harvester count, 46 to 67, and that will soon update. So it looks like MorroW going to try to take down as many probes as he can with these remaining few roach in the main of Knutzi, and was actually able to save those roaches in the northern position. So he's got 5 burrowed roaches. He's going to be able to come down and harass any sort of Nexus which Knutzi does throw down here. And it looks like 43 harvesters to 69, so MorroW now on 4 bases. This is exactly what the Zerg player wants to do. Attack in multiple positions, spread that creep, get into a macro game, as we see spine crawlers being placed in the center of the field. So if you do have extra minerals, and do have extra drones, those spine crawlers very good. Now the corruptors moving in, they're going to be quite disappointed to see no Colossus. They're moving to the back, hoping to find them hidden back there, but no Colossus will be found. So we see storms going down on the Hydralisks, the roaches as well. Again, those roaches just a little beefier with the HP, trying to focus down these Immortals, and the Hydralisks really need to be doing damage against the Immortals. That fast attack able to pierce through the shields quite quickly. If we check the army tab, still pretty even, and a lot more on the way for MorroW. He's coming out with a lot of Zerglings. That's going to be the answer against these Immortals and the Stalkers, able to get a good surround on them. We see an Archon pop out for Knutzi, but it's not going to be enough to take on all the Zerglings here. So we see more units streaming in, picking off a lot of these High Templar in the back, so they will not get off storms. Do not believe Amulet has been trained for Knutzi yet. I'll check on that after this battle, but it looks like he's going to be able to clean up this this force from Knutzi. If we check out the army tab, now 3,000 compared to the 900 of the Protoss. But again, a lot of that army from MorroW is these are these Corruptors, and they're just going to be a complete waste of minerals at this point, as there are no Colossus on the field. Also has these Roaches in the north, now going to be moving out, testing to see if an expansion had been thrown up for Knutzi. Knutzi does have the gold up and running, but if a number of probes go down to these Roaches, it could really hurt him, as I assume he's pretty much mined out in the main and natural at this point, so working off of 2 full bases, but does not have good saturation at this 12 o'clock position. Actually saves a lot of probes by not having good saturation, as these Roaches are easily able to take down the probes. Practically 2-shot them with those upgrades. So checking out the income, still pretty even, but I imagine that MorroW will be pulling ahead shortly, as he does have 4 bases up and running, and he is not too mined out in the natural. In fact, neither is Knutzi, so Knutzi will soon be on 3 bases, and MorroW still has these 5 Roaches burrowed in the north, causing Knutzi to have to commit a lot of forces to this northern position. So we see MorroW moving out, taking advantage of this split army. Now going to try to take down a few of these production structures for Knutzi. Knutzi coming in with a lot of Zealots at this point. He's a little bit light on the gas, as he has been using the gas for those High Templar and for those Immortals as well. MorroW could be transitioning to a hive. Perhaps Broodlords with all these Corruptors needs to do something with them. They're just floating around, perhaps absorbing a little bit of damage from those Stalkers. They could be at least corrupting. And now we see more storms going down on the Roaches and the Hydras, and now having to pull back is MorroW, reinforcing with more Roaches, and now trying to burrow these Roaches, heal up a little bit, push in and focus down these Stalkers. Not going to be focusing down this Archon until it gets warped in, so doing a good job taking down the Stalkers while that Archon is morphing. A lot of times you'll see players go for that Archon as it morphs in, but it can't hurt you while it's morphing. Better to take down the remaining army, and we see the GG from Knutzi. So a great game by MorroW. He was able to get into a macro game as Zerg. He was very defensive at the start. He got up his Roach Warren on time right after that lair, started upgrades immediately, had enough to fend off that initial push, and really baited a lot of force fields from Knutzi. We saw Knutzi blew all of his energy in the initial encounter there in 2 large sets of force fields, and then was just not able to engage until his sentries had enough energy for force fields again. By that time, MorroW had those Hydralisks out on the field, and it kind of evened up the playing field, as Knutzi was going for mostly gateway units and those Immortals, which Hydras really dominate. So MorroW playing quite a masterful game here on Lost Temple, and able to even up this series 1 game apiece. So we'll move on to Game 3 now. Go ahead and cast that for you. So look forward to seeing you there. Thanks for watching this one. Take care.